All right, guys. So we just went through, we just went through setting up our 508 C1A, faith-based organization, and then we went through the EIN application with the IRS for a tax-exempt organization. And then we went through the process of how to get your ordination training so you guys can become ordained ministers. So we went through a lot. I want to open up the floor for any questions that you guys might have based on the information that we went over today. So the first hand I see is JC. Hey, JC.
Hey, Christina. Let me see. I'll put my camera on. So, I saw that in the beginning. Oh, camera didn't come on yet. It's strange. Okay. But, it may be my computer's moving slow. But what I was going to ask you is in the beginning, you were talking about the chapters 617. I missed that part. And,
Okay. Okay, so you have to go to your email, and one of the PDFs is the State Nonprofit Corporation Act, and you have to, whatever state that you're using, you have to put that in that section. So it could be title, title 100, or it could be chapter, 5, title 6. So it just depends. So just go to that resource.
okay, okay. And then the other question I wanted to ask you too was, I guess I kind of got in a little later with it, but the trustee and the board of directors. So they're two separate people, right? So it's like you have the trustees and then you have the board of directors. Is that correct? Am I wrong?
Yes, you're correct. But the trustees are a part of the board of directors.
Okay. And so if me and my wife were to be the trustees, does the board of directors have the ability to remove me and my wife as the trustees, or is it
No,
operate differently? So the trustees can put whoever they want in the board of director roles.
correct. Yeah, so you're going to appoint, so the first trustee is going to appoint the second trustee and the first trustee. Oh, no, and then both trustees, you guys can appoint the board of directors.
Okay. And the other question I had is, um, I know you were talking about the S corporation and C corporation, and I realize I may not be in compliance right now for S corporation, so I'm gonna have to change it on my thing because we have a holding LLC in Wyoming that me and my wife are both on, and we used to both be on as members of our LLC slash S corporation, and we changed us as being the owner, and we put the holding company as it, but we're both are on there, and I think it has to be a single member LLC in order for it to be a S corporation, or it has to be two people, or it has to be a non-complex trust. Are you kind of familiar with that? With to sustain the S corporation, or maybe even I say S corporation first. Um, because I'm trying to make sure that I'm in compliance because they won't allow me to put the trust as the owner of the S corporation because it's a complex trust, is what they said. It has to be like a grantor trust where the grantor still owns the assets. They'll let that trust go, but not a complex trust. So I was kind of curious about, do you have any solutions for that?
So the issue is that you have to have like an actual individual, and so it looks like you don't have an individual, so you're going to have to put yourself on there. That's one of the challenges, right? Is
Okay.
that with the S corp, they won't allow you to just only have an entity on there.
Well, that's a
So
single member, right? I think they said if it's single member, they call it they is a disregarded entity, and they'll do it for a single member LLC, but they won't do it for a multi-member LLC. But I
Okay.
could be wrong. I'm gonna ask my person
No,
today.
but I don't specialize in S corp, so
Okay.
so that from what I know, when you want to put, when you want to put the trust in as one of the shareholders. So that's one of the challenges. So yeah, you're gonna have to get with them to see how, if you're gonna add yourself or not, or how you can, get around that issue.
Yeah, I was thinking about doing a single, if they allow it, I asked my tax person, I meet with them soon. I asked him if I could do the single member LLC, but the holding company I'll just make own just by me, but then on the trust, I'll have we talked about the business trust with the holding company. I'll make my wife as one of the trustees since she's not on the single member holding, but the holding company will be owned by the trust, so she'll still have say in everything. So, okay. Next thing is, it seems like I need to get my EIN number before I actually get the trust going, or no,
You
before I get
can.
notarized.
So once you're done establishing your trust, before you get it
Mhm.
notarized, you can do it, or you can, you can notarize the trust and then go back and add the EIN. So it just depends. Some people print it out and handwrite the EIN, so it just depends.
Got it. It may be good to kind of look into it first because the name might not be available. Is that correct? On All
So,
right.
so, so the name, you would have to put the word trust in it if they're giving you issues with the name. So sometimes we find that, or if you are not able to process the application online, then you would have to manually do it through the SS4 form to get the name.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was the only questions I have. Thank you so much, Christina.
You're welcome. All right. Hey, Miss Bay, how are you?
Hello, Christina. How are you today? I just had a couple of questions. The first one is, okay, if you're putting in $100, for the trust, how will you be able to grant money to other entities? If you're a ministry, they have a ministry trust. I heard you say something about we are allowed to grant money to other entities or other um nonprofits. Is that correct?
Yes,
How can you do that if you don't have the money, but $100 to put it in there? I
you
mean,
have.
the huh? Say that again.
The organization has to be able to have the funds in order to issue grants.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. If I wanted to, since it's an ecclesiastical trust, how can I grant money to other organizations if I'm just starting and I don't have anything in the trust? I mean,
Yes,
for that type of money is what I'm saying. How does that work?
yeah, so you don't have to grant money right now until you build up the trust to when you have the money. And so it just depends on what your ministry is, right? So like for me, one of my ministries is scholarships, right? So I actually put my own money in there and was able to issue out $500 scholarships to seniors. Right. So you have to be able to have the money in order to issue grants. If you're just starting out, then most likely you're not in the position to issue grants yet.
Right. Okay. And you were saying something about you can put your brokerage account into the ministry trust as an asset.
Correct. Yeah. So meaning that you can open up a brokerage account in the name of the ministry trust, and then you're going to list it on the Schedule B as one of the assets. And then you can go ahead and purchase stocks or commodities or bonds or REITs.
I did a brokerage for the family trust, but you can still put the brokerage in as an asset to the ministry trust,
No,
even if,
so if your brokerage is already in the family trust, then it's already owned by a trust. So you're not going to have it be owned by multiple trusts. So you already
okay.
chose the family trust.
Yes, yes. I sent in the application yesterday, so I'm looking forward to hearing from them. The next thing I have to do is the ministry trust, and I'm trying to decide on a bank. Do you suggest anyone in particular for ministry trusts that are pretty good with ministries?
Um,
I know you
so
said you have fours, but that's for family, right? But what about ministry?
no, I have all of my trust with Truist. I have all of my trust with Truist, and then I have accounts with Fidelity and with Ally.
Okay,
So
and okay, go ahead. I'm sorry.
no, yeah, so I was just gonna say there's so the first thing you want to do is just check in your area, because like for example, Truist is not nationwide. It's only in like in I think 35 states or something like that. So you want to check in your area to see local banks and credit unions that offer accounts
They
specifically.
are, they do have them in Texas. Now I decided not to dissolve one of my LLCs. It has almost the same name as as my private trust. It's basically Leisure Holdings LLC, but the trust is, under my Dent Legacy of Leisure Holdings. So is it possible to have the LLC own the trust, or the trust own the LLC? Or you can put, can you use that family trust with the LLC?
You can, so the family trust can own businesses as well.
Okay.
But it's just designed really to hold your personal assets. So you really want, when you're talking about an LLC, you really want the business trust to own the LLC.
Okay. Okay. That's what I needed to know. I wasn't sure
Yeah.
about how that worked. And I haven't
Mhm.
started the business trust. That's probably going to be the last thing that I do. But I am I'll probably be watching your videos because again, because usually it helps me at the point that I am at, so it kind of refreshes my mind. So I really appreciate you doing these videos over and over and over for us, because people may not think that they need it now, but they will need it later when they're at that point. And I really appreciate you doing these videos, because it does give me a good refresher. I'm like, oh, really? So I really do. I do appreciate that, you doing that.
You're, you're so welcome, Ms. Bay. Thank you so much. And that's one of the good things about this program, is that you have lifetime access. So whenever you're like going through that particular, thing, then it's good for you to
Yeah.
hop in
Right.
and
You don't think about it at the time until you're at that point and you're like, oh yeah, that's what I'm on right now. Let me listen to this, because this is referring to what I'm doing at this point. So yeah, I really do appreciate you doing these replays. They're awesome. Thank you so much, and you're awesome.
Thank you, Miss Bay. You're so welcome. Thank you, thank you. All right, next we
Welcome.
have Miss Meredith Rose. How are you, Miss Rose?
Hi, Christina. Thank you so much for that amazing rundown. Um, I was unclear. Was everybody already doing their EIN online? Because I don't have a virtual address yet, so I was unable to complete that. Is that
Oh, yeah, no problem. So I was just showing you guys how to
okay?
actually do it. And so if you don't have a virtual address as of yet, then get the virtual address. And then what you want to do is you want to go back to the replay so that you can, go back to that one section where I went through the EIN application, and then you're able to then apply for your EIN.
What was that website again? It was www what?
IRS.gov.
That's what I thought. Okay. And also, can I ask another question? Do we have
Yeah,
time?
absolutely. Yes, we
Okay.
do.
I think there's some different categories under the FBOs. That's what I'm kind of understanding from people. So what are they? And does that have to be declared somewhere on the trust, or how does that work?
Yeah. Yeah, so there's several different categories. So I will definitely go through that. So you can label it as a church, you can label it as a faith-based organization, as a ministry, as an auxiliary to a church, or in ecclesiastical organization. So there's several different terms that you can use, but they all still fall under the mandatory exception, which is under that 508 C1A code in the IRS code.
Okay, so I need to attach after my name, I need to say ministry or
Faith-based, yeah, faith-based organization, or if you're naming it a church, you can use the term church. So however, yeah.
Okay. Okay, great. I have a Fidelity account. Is it better to just call Fidelity and change the name on my account to the ministry, or is it better to do the paperwork and bring the Fidelity over as an asset into the trust?
Yeah, so you can do two ways. So it depends on Fidelity. So if Fidelity allows you to change the name on your account, because I'm not sure what account you have, because they offer several accounts, right? They got Roth IRAs, they have,
I
custodial
have
accounts.
that. Yeah. I've got like
Yes.
three accounts.
Yeah, so there's two things. So if they allow you to change the name, then you can change the name into the ministry trust. If they don't
Okay.
allow you to change the name and you want to keep that existing account, then you can add the ministry trust as a beneficiary on that brokerage account.
Right. Fantastic. Thanks. May I ask one more question?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. Are there, I understand you have reference, place to reference where we could apply for grants for our ministry. Is that on your website somewhere? How could I find
Um,
that?
Yeah, so I do have a list. We have a form here. So I will have my assistant put it together. Another thing is it's in the resources tab in the login. Do you have access to the portal?
I'm not sure.
Not sure, yeah, okay. Yeah, so if you have access to the portal, and we'll check, so I'll have Ika check if you have login credentials. If you do, then when you log in, and you go to Wealthy Trustee Program and you scroll all the way down to the bottom, there's a tab that says resources, and there's one that's specifically for FBOs, and then there's a list of websites where you can get grants.
Okay, thank you. Thank
You're
you.
so welcome. Thank you, Ms. Rose. All right, next we have Cyrus. Hey, Cyrus, how are you?
Hi, Christina. How's everything?
Wonderful, splendid.
Peace and love. Peace and love.
Thank you.
Um, I have a couple questions for you. One is a general question about trust. I had seen a video about someone talking about that the government's been regulating or putting new regulations or restrictions on trust in general. Is that something that you're aware of? Is that something that's happening or no?
Yeah, I've heard about it, and it's certain states actually, it's certain states where they want to restrict people from being able to protect their assets. So they want to restrict people from putting homes into irrevocable trusts. So there's a couple of different little things that's happening, but those are, they get to regulate statutory trust. So they have the power and jurisdiction to be able to do that, because when you set up that type of trust, you're putting all of those, you're in their jurisdiction, basically. You're putting all of those state statutes in there to allow them to be able to regulate what you can and cannot do with those trusts.
They can get a foreign grantors trust though and put it in. You have to get an EIN for a foreign grantors trust.
So this is not a statutory trust. That's what you're saying. So we should be good, right?
All right.
Correct. Another question. You said something about having our personal trust to be the beneficiary to this trust. But isn't that a conflict of interest? Because how does our trust benefit, if the trust was dissolved and there are assets left over? Wouldn't that go to say another nonprofit organization? How do we get the benefit from that?
So it doesn't have to be a nonprofit organization. It could be a for-profit organization. So you can choose your LLC, you can choose another trust that you own, you can choose Walmart, you can choose Target, you can choose any other organization. It doesn't have to be a nonprofit. It just can't be a natural person. It has to be an entity.
So if there's millions of dollars left in the ministry trust, I could put it into my family trust. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, or you can give it to Walmart.
Wow, that's great. Okay.
So who do you want to give it to? Do you want to give it to Walmart? Do you want to give it to...
I just want to be clear. I just want to make sure that that's legal, that we're going to be able to
it doesn't have to be a nonprofit. It just can't be a person.
Got you. Now, picking the grantor, right? I guess this is another similar question to that. Is it doesn't have to be a person, right? Because it could be an entity like another trust can control it. So another one of my trusts can be the grantor of this trust.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. So the only issue that you'll find is that other trust is still going to have irrevocability. Right. And so whoever the trustee is of that trust, won't be able to have any control. So if you're going to choose another trust, you don't want to be the trustee of that other trust.
Gotcha. Okay. And I think I asked this question yesterday about the state that we would set up this ministry trust. Does it really matter, or are there different? Again, is it different laws or different requirements or benefits for other states to set it up in?
Yeah, so you can choose any US state or US territory. So whatever, wherever you plan on actually, conducting your meetings or your missionary, duties or your philanthropic endeavors, you might want to choose that state. So it depends, but yeah, you can choose any US state or territory as the residency for the organization.
Gotcha. One last question, and you might have answered it already. I just want to be clear about it. You said something about I guess it says something about, the mission statement, right? It has something about mankind is created in the image of our creator. And you said something to the effect of it doesn't have to be religious, right? So
it could be educational. It could be, it could be educational. So it can be religious or educational. So as long as you are structuring it to where it's, you know, charitable, right? So you're talking about the tenets of faith, right?
Right,
And
right.
so with the tenets of faith, you have to, you know, identify what they are. So it could be like one of your tenets of faith could be faith in education for the youth, right? Faith in the universe, faith in clean running water.
Mm. But it has to be faith-based.
Yes.
Awesome. I think I'm good. Thank you so much again. And I guess I'll see you tomorrow.
Okay, sounds good, Cyrus. Thank you as well. Awesome. And then we have JC, and let me look in the chat real quick if you have two different FPL trust. Usually working. Okay, JC.
Hey, Christina, I was looking at, I think it's page 4 or 6 or whatever, where it says the trustees and the address. For the address, are we putting the address of where we actually live, or are we putting the address where, you know, we put the address of the trust in whatever, like you say, don't use our regular address for the trust. So under I think it's 5, are we putting our actual address there, or are we putting the trust address there?
Yeah, you're putting the trustee's address.
The trustee. So it's actually where we live. Our personal
Yeah.
address.
Yeah, you can put your personal address. So you're not going to be disclosing this to, you know, to anyone. It's private. So if you want to put the virtual address, you can. So it's up to you. If you want to put the virtual address and then just list, you know, all of the trustees, you can do that. Because anything trust related, you can use the trust information.
Okay. And then the other thing is,
But generally, you're putting the trustees, you know, personal stuff. So like the trustees' address, the trustees' phone number, the trustees' name.
okay, no, that's perfect. Thank you for answering that. And then the other question I have is, you know, under section 1, under page 31, where it talks about the trustee protector provisions, it says the designated trust protector name. If I don't plan on having a protector yet, because like you say, the protector actually is kind of higher than the trustee to some degree. And you said it's probably not, I don't know if that's all accurate, but I know you kind of said the protector can kind of remove the trustee. But my main question is, if we don't have a protector yet, how do we word section 1?
Yeah, so so what you can put is you can put that it's gonna remain blank until a trustee is nominated. So the position will remain vacant until a trustee is nominated.
Okay. And then the other question I had was with the ministry trust. I know people probably use it as a means to reduce taxes, right? So, you know, it goes from the business trust, I guess from the, you know, whatever it gets, in some way you use the ministry trust to donate or whatever to help reduce taxes or whatever. Now, the question I have is, if you donate, let's just say you donate $100,000 to your ministry trust, what is the most common way people use this? Are they using this to say, okay, now that I've donated to my ministry trust, now I'm going to use this to pay for living expenses? You know, how does that work? I have no clue. I'm just kind of curious because I know they're using it to save money, but at the same time, and I'm not saying they're using it to save money, they're using it to reduce taxes, but also we all want to give back, you know, we have a 501c3 where we give back and help the community. But I guess my question would be, how are the wealthy using this method? Because I know they're using it for some means to reduce taxes or increase net worth. So how are they using this? Like I said, if you give $1 million or $100,000, you know, pretty much it's in a non-for-profit now. So are they using that to probably pay normal life expenses? Are they living through the private trust like that? I mean the FBO trust like that, or what are your practice have you seen or suggest?
Yeah, so definitely I would tell you to run the ministry trust the way it's supposed to, right? So you run it like a charitable organization, right? But one of the beautiful things about it is one, you can take out loans from the ministry trust, right? So you're not, I don't recommend that anyone put money into the ministry trust and then start using those funds for their personal expenses. If you want to use funds for your personal expenses, you use your family trust for personal expenses or family expenses, right? So like your electricity, your utilities, things like that, right? So for the funds that you're putting inside of the ministry trust, one, you can take out loans. Okay. So if you're donating $1 million in there, you can borrow at 500, $1,000 to then do something else with it. Okay. So if you have something personal that you want to do, then go ahead and take out a loan from the ministry trust for you to be able to do that personal thing. Okay. You're not doing anything personal like getting your hair cut and your nails and going on vacation and all this stuff with the ministry trust. The second thing is one of my favorite things is you're using it for investments, right? So buying crypto, buying real estate, investing those money in stocks, putting those money into other businesses and organizations, right? Parking that money where it's going to grow. That's what they're
But the
using
only
it
thing
for.
is it's gonna grow, but it's gonna still not be usable, right? So like if I say, okay, well, the $500,000, I'm gonna put it into real estate and crypto. But when it grows, because it's in the investment's name, is in the ministry trust, my family can't actually use that unless I get a loan, right? I
Right.
mean, is that,
Unless you get a loan, what's the problem with getting a loan?
I mean, you gotta still pay it back, right?
You can pay it back. You can pay it back, or if you default on the loan, then the organization can forgive you for the default.
Hmm.
But what is the problem with paying it back?
Not really a problem. I mean, I think a part of it is, we've paid a lot of taxes in over the years, and we didn't know a lot about saving money on taxes. And so I'm excited about that part because, we've had to spend a lot on taxes, and if any way that I can reduce that, that'd be helpful. And but still be able to, have access to the capital, you know, so and do some good stuff too. So it's not all we give a lot already to our church and to missions and stuff like that. So it's not like we don't give. It's just that we would really like to not pay so much taxes and
Mhm.
reduce that liability. So no, that would be a big plus for me. But you're saying that use the resources to invest, but also take whatever resources that the ministry trust has, and you can also get a loan and pay it back over time,
Yeah, or
at your
whatever.
discretion.
Yeah, exactly. So that's
Okay.
one thing. Another thing is that the ministry can acquire assets and dispose of those assets any way that they see fit to dispose of those assets.
So what would that look like as in a for-profit manner? Not that you're doing it for profit. I'm not saying that, Christina. I'm just saying if you were to do it in a way that you could use it for personal reasons, how could you take what you said and do it legally, in a sense where it's not removing its ability to be tax exempt.
So are you saying so is the question how you would dispose of the assets? Is that the question?
Yeah, you said that you can distribute the assets however you want. Does that mean, like, for instance, now I know you told me you can only put one piece of property into the the 508c1A. Is that correct or wrong?
No, so you can put multiple properties, but only one is eligible for tax exemption.
Okay. And yeah, so if I said, okay, I wanted to take my wife to Hawaii this year, but the money came from one of the real estate investments from the 508c1A. If I wanted to do that, and like you say, you can't run it not like not like a ministry. So that's what I'm trying to, I guess, in my own way, is I want to do ministry through it, but also too, if I'm putting a lot of resources in it to reduce taxes,
So the example you
what can
gave
I
is,
do this to?
yeah, so the example you gave is you want to take your wife to Hawaii, right?
Mhm.
So you taking your wife to Hawaii, as long as you have a board meeting for your ministry, and you do something, right? So it could be anything, right? It could be going and visiting a charitable organization, or you just having a meeting for your organization in Hawaii, then the expenses over there are covered by the ministry because you were on trust business, right? You were on a on an assignment for the ministry, right? So whatever it is, if you went to look for land because you're gonna, build a shelter, whatever it is, right? So
Okay.
you went and looked for land for the ministry. And so now that whole entire, all of your expenses associated with going to Hawaii, staying in Hawaii, eating in Hawaii, traveling back home is covered.
I love it. I love it. I got you. So you're saying there are ways to still have some benefit, but still be in compliance. I got
Yes.
it. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Christine.
You gotta be strategic. So I like I'm just gonna say it just depends on what you're trying to do.
Okay. Thank you. That's
All right.
good. That's good.
You're welcome, JC. All right, Miss Rose, how are you? And then I think I have some questions in the chat that I have to address. Oh, you're on mute, Miss Rose.
Thank you. I think you mentioned that you can donate 60% of a salary that you make into the trust. Is that correct? So that you can shelter those funds from being taxed?
Yes, that's correct. Yes. So the IRS allows you to donate up to 60% of your annual gross income, whatever you gross annually. They allow you to donate up to 60% of it to a nonprofit. And then
Okay.
so you're going to write off 100% of that 60%. All of that
Right.
60, yes.
Right. So you write it off, or I don't understand. Are we still filing taxes if we have this?
So that's on the personal side, right? So wherever that annual gross income is coming from, so if it's coming from you being an independent contractor, if it's coming from you being a W-2 employee, wherever that money is coming from, you as an individual receive that money. You receive a W-2, and so you have to file a 1040 according to that income.
Right. Okay, great. Thanks. Is there something about declaring if it's a ministry or if it's an educational nonprofit? I don't understand the organization of that. Do you have to
Yes.
declare it? I'm mainly
So
a teacher. So I'm not sure whether it should be an educational thing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, absolutely. So you have to put it in your constitution. So you have to put it inside of the document if it's religious or if it's educational. So it has to be structured that way. So if it's more for educational and if it's more associated with, with children or anything like that, then you have to put that verbiage inside of, you have to list them as provisions inside of the contract. That's where you put it, the designation.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. All right, next we have Cyrus, and then I'm gonna go to the chat. I think I have 2 questions in the chat.
Thank you, JC and Rose, because we needed to get to those real questions. I think while we're all here for today, well, obviously we want to help people, right? And we want to set up these things to ultimately, do some philanthropy, right? But we also want to take advantage of, these tax exemptions and things of that nature. So to go off of what Rose said about the 65% of the income, right? So if I put the 65%, then what I could
It's
take the 65%.
It's 60.
60?
It's up,
60,
up to
okay.
60. Up to 60. 60 is the max. You can't
Max,
go
I got you.
above. Yeah, you can't go over that.
I got you. I mean, how would I even calculate that too? Because
If you make 100,000, it's 60,000.
no, I got you. I guess I would have to do 60% of each check, I guess, right? Or something like that. Or, if I get paid
Yeah.
bi-weekly.
Yeah, from whatever it is that you make. Yeah. So I mean, so I would do it on an annual basis, or at least like a monthly. You could do monthly, quarterly, annually.
Got you. So after I do that, I do the max of 60. Could I turn around and take a loan for that 60% back?
Of course. So
Really?
there's no time limit. Yeah, there's no time limit on, on when you could when you donate or when you can request loans from the organization. There's no time limit.
There's no time limit. So
Right.
do I take that from the personal side? Just say it would have to be from an entity to an entity, right? So my family trust borrowing from the ministry trust, or do I take a personal loan from
No,
that?
so yes. Okay, so there you have 2 questions here. So the first question is, how is the money getting inside of the ministry trust, right? So that's going to be, so however, let's just say that you work a 9 to 5.
Right.
Yes, that money went into your personal bank account from your employer, right? And so now you're going to transfer those funds, you're going to donate those funds
Right.
into the ministry trust. The ministry trust is then going to issue you a donation receipt. So that's going to be record keeping on both ends, 1 for you and then 2 for them, right? For the entity, right? So now that money is inside of the ministry trust, right? So the trustee can borrow. So you are the trustee of the ministry trust. You can borrow from the ministry trust. So if you want to do it as a trustee, you can. If you want to do it as the beneficiary, you can. But usually you'll do it as a trustee.
Oh, okay. I was thinking about as a trustee of my personal trust, like my living trust, right? Borrowing from my ministry trust. I can do that as well, right?
You can. So the beneficiary can request a loan from the ministry trust, and the trustee can also do that as well.
The beneficiary.
Mhm.
Oh, what trust? Of my living trust? My
No,
personal
of the ministry, of the ministry, of the ministry. So, and it's of any trust too. So even if you're talking about your personal trust, the beneficiary
Right.
can request a loan, yes.
Got you. Now, how many loans, is there a limit to how many loans that we could take?
No, unless you put a limit, do you want to put a limit?
No,
Do
no.
you want to
So
put
if I
a
put my
limit? You
60
have
in,
to understand. You have to
okay,
understand that it's discretionary, so it's up to you as a trustee. So if you want to put a provision that says the beneficiary is only allowed to take out 10 loans per year or per decade, you can do that. Remember that this is you customizing this organization is going to be tailored straight to you and what you want, right? So if you want to put those limitations, then go ahead and do that. I mean, so sometimes it doesn't sound safe to make it unlimited, right?
right,
People get abusive. People get abusive. You
right.
have to think about like you're the one who's establishing this whole thing, but 30 years into the future, those future individuals that are running the organization or benefiting from the organization, you're not sure what their intentions are or what they might do. So it's up to you to be able to set those provisions now, today, before you finalize your trust.
So I could put provisions or restrictions on other people, or as well as myself, right? So I can do it separately like that, right? But wouldn't it raise a red flag if, you know, just say every month I'm putting my 60% in, right, of my gross, or I guess my net um income, right? But then every month I'm taking the same amount out as a loan. Wouldn't that draw a red flag to the IRS or to, anyone doing audits?
So you don't have to submit your records to the IRS, right? You don't have to submit your records to the IRS. But if you like let's just say you are audited, right? So in the event that you are audited, right, that's why you have a board in place. That's why you have proper documentation, and you just are going to document, right? So you have the paperwork that you need. You have the donation receipt. You have the documentation to show that the funds were recorded and the funds were dispersed, right? So like as long as you have the proof, as long as you have the proof. So that's why we put these other safety protocols, which is you have a board, right? And you have to also, what's the word I want to use? You have to answer to the board, right? They're there to help you govern everything, right? Because what you're describing is self-dealing. It's like, okay, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, all this stuff, right? So you don't want to be accused of self-dealing.
Right. I mean,
Yeah.
regardless, if you look at it though, right? If you're taking loans out consistently, I mean, isn't that considered income anyway? And that's going to be taxed on the other end?
So it's not considered income unless you 1099 yourself, then it's income. Are you gonna 1099 yourself or are you taking out a loan? So there you can do that, right? So you can choose to get compensation as a trustee and then you'll 1099 yourself and then you'll have to file taxes for that. Yeah.
Right.
So that's
Okay.
not a loan. That's not a loan.
No, I got you. I got you. This was very interesting. Thank you for that. I'm gonna need your CPA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much for answering my question. That was perfect.
You're welcome. So somebody put in the chat, will this be available to watch over again? So yes, the recordings are available. So we usually upload them about 2 hours after the workshop, and they're going to be available on the portal. So you have to have login credentials. You log into the portal. There's two sections that you'll see. One says the Wealthy Trustee Program. The other one says workshop training recordings. So click on workshop training recordings, scroll all the way down to the bottom, and you'll see the latest workshop. So you'll see the one from yesterday, and then later on today, you'll see the one for today. All right, so let me see. So Chris said if you have two different FBO trusts for different purposes, can the trustees and the boards be the same? Yes, they're two separate entities. So they can be the same. You can set them up with the same trustees and board members. If I collect SS and pension from CalStar, can I protect those funds from being taxed? No, so those are, so as far as the SS, so those are government funds and government benefits. So there's no way to protect them from being taxed because they come in through your individuals, through your name, right? Your name and your social. And so there's no way for you not to, end up filing taxes for those funds.
Thank you.
Aromatherapy, can I do? So, what if I'm making or selling aromatherapy products? Can I do that with my ministry as donation? Yes. So, one of the things that we went over is that the ministry can offer products and services. And so though that product that you have, right, you can accept donations for that product, and then you can exchange it with the individuals who are giving you donations.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, and then somebody asked the difference between a 501 and a 508. So the main difference is one with the 501, you have your regular nonprofits that are that establish the 501, and you have to apply for tax exempt status. Okay, so that's one thing you have to apply in order to be a 501, and then you have to submit your books, right? So you have to submit your financials, your bookkeeping, all of your documents, okay? So sometimes that's going to go under review. It's going to go under, scrutiny from the IRS, and they will then determine if you keep your status or if you lose your status. And then you have certain restrictions like not being able to talk about politics or involve yourself in like any political events or anything like that. So there's some restrictions when it comes to your freedom of speech with a 501. A 508 is still a tax exempt organization, just like a 501. But you don't have to go through the application process. So there's a separation between church and state. And so if you are operating similar to a church, your organization, then you get to go down the route of a 508, and you don't have to apply to be exempt, and you don't have to submit your records to the IRS. You don't have to have those restrictions of your freedom of speech and things of that nature. So those are like the main differences. It depends on like the type of 501 you are too. So with that being said, you guys, we are going to wrap it up. It is 2:21. So I do have homework for you guys for today. So the homework for today is for you guys to go inside of the Facebook group and go ahead and let everyone know when you are going to finalize your trust. So at this point in time, we've already set up our business trust, our family trust, and our ministry trust. So we are all done setting up our trust. So you have to let everyone know when you are planning on finalizing your trust so we can hold you accountable, okay? That's what we want to do. We want to hold you accountable for you actually setting up your trust. So another thing is that tomorrow we're going to apply for the EIN for our business trust. So the responsible party for your business trust and your family trust is the grantor. So you will need their name and their social security, or you're going to have them apply for your EIN for you. Okay. So just keep that in mind as we go through this process tomorrow. So tomorrow we are going to be setting up our EIN for our business trust. We're going to be going over business credit, business funding. We're also going to be doing our board meetings so that we can go ahead and open up our bank accounts. And then we're going to be fulfilling our promissory notes so that we can document how much we're going to fund the trust with, okay? So that's the plans for tomorrow. So tomorrow we're going to meet here at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. You are going to receive an email with the resources and links that you're going to need for tomorrow. So you're going to receive that 1 hour before the call. Tomorrow we are going to have a guest speaker. His name is Brian Dorsey. And he is a trustee, and he's coming in to teach us about business credit and funding so that we're able to leverage OPM in order to fund our trust, you guys, okay? So I will see you here tomorrow at the same place and same time. You guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow.